The fox and the grapes again. The forest was alive that summer. Leaves rustled like gossiping villagers. Birds rehearsed their melodies as if preparing for a grand concert. And the golden sun filtered through the trees, painting the ground in shifting patches of light. It was the kind of season when even the laziest creatures stirred with energy, when the streams ran clear and quick, and the air carried the scent of wildflowers, honey, and ripening fruit. Now, among the creatures of that lively forest, there lived a fox. Not just any fox, but Reynard, a sharp-eyed, sharp-tongued fellow whose reputation for cleverness had traveled farther than his little paws ever had. Some said he could talk his way out of any trap. Others muttered that he could talk his way into one too, depending on the day. He was not cruel, nor exactly kind. Mostly, he was hungry. And on this particular summer morning, Reynard woke up with the kind of hunger that gnawed not just at the belly but at the mind. He had spent the night chasing rabbits with no luck. Those twitchy creatures had outsprinted him again, disappearing down their warren holes with insulting squeaks of laughter. So when Reynard opened his eyes to the sunlight, his stomach growled as if demanding he redeem himself. He stretched, yawned, and padded through the forest, his nose twitching for a scent of breakfast. And then, fortune, that fickle friend. His eyes landed upon a vineyard he had never noticed before. It was tucked beyond a broken fence, vines curling like green serpents around tall wooden stakes. Clusters of grapes hung heavy, swollen with juice, glowing purple in the morning light. Reynard froze, staring, and then licked his lips. Grapes! Sweet, luscious grapes. He could almost taste them already, bursting in his mouth, washing away the bitterness of hunger. He whispered to himself, "At last, the feast I deserve." He trotted closer, his tail flicking with excitement. But of course, fate rarely gives its gifts so easily. The vines were high, much higher than Reynard's reach. The lowest cluster dangled just above his head, swaying gently as though teasing him. Reynard narrowed his eyes. "Humph, a challenge, is it? Well, I am Reynard the fox. No branch, no fruit, no obstacle can stand against me." He crouched, coiled his muscles, and leapt. His paws scraped the air, his teeth snapped at nothing, and he landed with an ungraceful thump. The grapes danced above him untouched. He growled softly. Perhaps the ground was uneven. Yes, let's try again. Another leap. This time higher, stronger, fueled by determination. His jaws snapped once more, so close he thought he tasted the skin of the grape. But no, it was only the air mocking him. Reynard landed harder this time, and his paws stung. He shook himself. Trickier than I thought. But I am no quitter. Now, if you know Reynard, you know he was as much a thinker as a leaper. He sat back on his haunches, tilting his head at the vines. The grapes seemed to smile smugly, dangling just out of reach, glowing in the sunlight. His mouth watered at the sight. "Fine," he muttered. "If strength fails, then cunning shall win." And so began Reynard's long day of schemes. The first plan, the running leap. Reynard backed up, tail swishing like a banner. He would take a running start, build momentum, and spring like an arrow loosed from a bow. He imagined himself flying through the air, triumphant, his teeth sinking into the sweet fruit. He charged. His paws pounded the earth, his eyes locked on the prize. He launched himself upward, soared for a glorious second, then missed. Again, the grapes swayed, untouched, as though laughing. Reynard tumbled backward into a patch of thistles. "Yoch!" he yelped, pulling burrs from his tail. His pride hurt more than his fur. The second plan, the climb. "Well," Reynard huffed, "if I cannot jump to them, I shall climb to them." The vineyard stakes looked sturdy enough. He dug his claws into the wooden post, scrabbling upward like an eager squirrel. But foxes are not built for climbing. His back legs slipped, his paws scraped, and he slid down in an undignified heap. A sparrow perched nearby chirped with laughter. Reynard glared at it. "Keep laughing, Featherhead, or I'll make you my lunch instead." The sparrow flitted off, unconcerned. The third plan, the Tower of Stones. Reynard, refusing to give up, decided to outwit gravity itself. He began dragging stones, big, small, flat, round, stacking them beneath the vines. He worked for nearly an hour, sweating under the sun, his tower wobbling but holding. At last, he climbed atop it, wobbling precariously. "Ah, who says grapes are beyond my reach?" Reynard declared, balancing on his makeshift platform. He stretched his neck, opened his jaws, and just as he thought he had them, the stones shifted. The tower collapsed with a crash, burying him in dust and pebbles. The grapes remained untouched, glistening with infuriating beauty. The fourth plan, persuasion. By now Reynard was tired, bruised, and dirt-streaked, but he was not beaten. If brawn and building failed, perhaps words? He sat beneath the vines and called sweetly, "Oh, lovely grapes, so plump, so ripe. Surely you would rather rest in my belly than shrivel on this vine. Why not drop down into my waiting mouth?" The grapes, of course, said nothing. They hung in silence, heavy with juice, ignoring his flattery. Reynard scowled. "Ungrateful little brats. I'd be doing you a favor." The fifth plan, the truce. Desperate now, Reynard even considered enlisting help. He spotted a passing goat and called, "Friend goat, if you but this vine and knock down the grapes, I'll share them with you." The goat, who had little patience for foxes, snorted. "You? Share? I'd sooner believe a wolf sings lullabies." And he trotted off. Reynard muttered curses under his breath. Hours passed. The sun climbed high, baking the earth, and still Reynard had not tasted so much as a single grape. His throat was dry, his belly roared. He tried again, another leap, another climb, another trick, but always the same result. At last, exhausted and aching, Reynard lay flat on the ground, staring up at the cruel fruit above him. His stomach twisted with longing. He thought of the sweet burst of juice he would never taste. He thought of how the grapes glistened as though mocking his failure. And then, Reynard smirked. His pride stirred. That sly, slippery pride that always saved him when nothing else could. "Humph," he said loudly, as though the whole forest were listening. "Those grapes? Bah! They are clearly sour. Yes, far too sour for the likes of me. Why waste my time on such worthless fruit? Let the birds have them. I would not sully my fine palate with such rubbish." With a swish of his tail and a feigned yawn, Reynard strutted off as though he had never cared for the grapes at all. The forest, of course, knew better. The sparrows whispered, the rabbits snickered, and even the vines seemed to chuckle. But Reynard walked proudly, convincing even himself, after a while, that he had not wanted those grapes in the first place. The lesson, and so the tale spread, of the clever fox who failed to reach the grapes, but spared his pride with the excuse that they must have been sour. A small story, perhaps, but one that traveled through generations, whispered by parents to children, by teachers to pupils, by old men to young ones. Because, as the forest knew, and as we too must admit, it is easy to sneer at what we cannot have. Sour grapes are the excuses we tell ourselves when desire and reality do not agree. Moral of the story: sour grapes are easy excuses.